The Legend Keepers. The story opens in the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Alliance on planet Nexus Prime. The chamber buzzes with activity as representatives from dozens of alien species gather for their monthly meeting. The atmosphere is tense because border raids have increased along the Outer Rim territories. Commander Vex of the reptilian Saurian race stands at the central podium, his scales gleaming under the artificial lights. He reports another lost colony ship near the Void sector. The attacks follow the same pattern. Ships vanish without distress signals, leaving only debris fields behind. Elder Mora, a tall, blue-skinned Arcturian with flowing silver hair, raises her hand to speak. Her voice carries the weight of centuries as she addresses the council. She mentions the old stories, the legends their ancestors used to tell about a warrior race that once roamed the galaxy. Most council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. "The humans," whispers Pilot Jack, a young member of the insectoid Thrivian species. His compound eyes reflect the chamber lights as he speaks. "My grandmother used to tell stories about them. She said they were the best fighters in the galaxy, but they disappeared long ago." The council erupts in mixed reactions. Some laugh at the mention of what they consider ancient fairy tales. Others look worried, remembering the old warnings passed down through generations. Captain Rex of the Mechanical Synthetic Collective processes the data through his quantum brain and declares the probability of human existence to be less than 1%. Elder Mora stands again, her voice cutting through the chaos. She tells them about the ancient archives hidden deep in the Arcturian homeworld. These records speak of a species that could adapt to any environment, fight with incredible skill, and never surrender even when facing impossible odds. The humans were said to be the peacekeepers of the galaxy until they vanished during the Great Silence 3,000 years ago. The debate continues for hours. The younger members dismiss the stories as mythology created to explain unexplained phenomena. The older members remember their ancestors' warnings about what would happen if humans ever returned. They spoke of ships that could appear from nowhere, and warriors who fought like demons possessed. As the council argues, a communication officer rushes into the chamber. Her face is pale with fear as she reports that 3 more colonies have gone silent in the past hour. The attacks are getting closer to the core worlds, and the pattern is changing. This time, there are survivors. The survivor testimonies paint a terrifying picture. Massive ships appearing from hyperspace without warning. Weapons that cut through energy shields like paper. Boarding parties that move through defended positions like unstoppable forces. But the most disturbing detail is what the survivors heard over the communication channels during the attacks. They heard voices speaking in an ancient language that only the oldest archives could translate. The translation teams work frantically as the council waits. When the results come back, the chamber falls silent. The attacking forces had been speaking in ancient human standard, a language that had been considered dead for millennia. Elder Mora's worst fears are confirmed as she reads the translation. The messages were simple and direct. Surrender now or face the consequences. The attackers had given warnings in the old human way, offering their enemies a chance to avoid bloodshed. It was exactly what the ancient texts described about human warfare tactics. The council members who had been laughing earlier now sit in stunned silence. The evidence is becoming impossible to ignore. The attack patterns match ancient human military doctrine perfectly. The technology being used is far beyond anything the current galactic civilizations possess. Most importantly, the psychological warfare tactics are exactly what the old stories described. Captain Rex's mechanical mind processes all available data and updates his calculations. The probability of human involvement has jumped to 73% and rising. His optical sensors focus on the holographic displays showing the attack patterns. The efficiency and precision match no known alien military force. As the meeting concludes, emergency protocols are activated across the galaxy. Defense fleets are mobilized, and ancient bunkers are opened for the first time in centuries. The Galactic Alliance prepares for a threat they had hoped was nothing more than a bedtime story. Elder Mora returns to her quarters, and opens a secure communication channel to the Arcturian homeworld. She requests immediate access to the forbidden archives, the ones that contain the real history of the human wars. If the legends are true, the galaxy is about to face its greatest challenge since the formation of the Alliance. The part ends with long-range sensors detecting massive energy, signatures moving through hyperspace toward the core worlds. The signatures are unlike anything in the current galactic database, but they match perfectly with the theoretical projections of human dreadnought-class vessels described in the ancient texts. First Contact Protocol, the Galactic Alliance's primary defense fleet, assembles at the Meridian Station, a massive space fortress guarding the main trade routes to the core worlds. Admiral Kors, a seasoned warrior from the four-armed Centaurian species, commands over 200 warships representing 15 different alien races. His tactical display shows the approaching unknown fleet, still several light hours away, but closing fast. The alien crews work frantically to prepare their defenses. Engineers check weapon systems while tactical officers run combat simulations. Everyone knows the stories now, but seeing theoretical projections become reality tests even the most experienced veterans. The approaching fleet consists of only 12 vessels, but each one registers as massive as a small moon. Dr. Lena, the Alliance's chief xenobiologist, studies the limited data they have collected. Her research team has been working around the clock to understand what they might be facing. The biological samples recovered from the attack sites show traces of DNA unlike anything in their databases. The genetic markers suggest a species with incredible adaptability and regenerative capabilities. Communication Officer Dex attempts to establish contact with the approaching fleet using every known frequency and protocol. His six-fingered hands work across multiple control panels simultaneously as he broadcasts greeting messages in over 300 languages. The response comes as a single transmission in perfect galactic standard, the common language of the Alliance. This is Fleet Commander Stone of the Terran Expeditionary Force. We come seeking answers about the attacks on our colonies. Stand down your weapons and prepare to receive our diplomatic envoy. The bridge falls silent as the transmission ends. The voice is calm, professional, and carries an undertone of absolute authority. Admiral Kors stares at the communication panel, realizing that first contact with humanity is happening under the worst possible circumstances. The humans are not returning as friends seeking reunion, but as investigators following a trail of violence. Elder Mora arrives at the station aboard her personal ship, carrying data crystals from the Forbidden Archives. The information she brings changes everything the Alliance thought they knew about galactic history. The humans had not disappeared during the Great Silence. They had been betrayed and forced to flee to the galaxy's edge to survive. The historical records reveal a conspiracy that had been hidden for 3 millennia. A coalition of alien races had grown jealous of human achievements and afraid of their military capabilities. They had launched a coordinated attack on human colonies, while the main fleet was exploring beyond the galactic rim. Billions of humans had died in what the records called the Night of Burning Stars. As the human fleet approaches, long-range scanners reveal details that make the alien crews nervous. The ships are sleek, angular, and built for war. They move with a precision that suggests advanced artificial intelligence or incredibly skilled pilots. Energy readings indicate weapon systems that could reduce planets to ash. The lead human vessel, designated as the Retribution, requests permission to dock at Meridian Station. Admiral Kors grants the request, knowing that refusing would likely result in a battle his forces cannot win. The station's personnel prepare for the arrival of beings they had considered mythical until days ago. Dr. Lena positions herself with the welcoming committee, her scientific instruments ready to record everything. She watches through the observation deck as the human shuttle approaches the docking bay. The craft is smaller than expected, but radiates an aura of advanced technology that makes her nervous. The airlock opens, and 3 figures step onto the station. The humans are exactly as the ancient descriptions claimed: bipedal, adaptable, and carrying themselves with quiet confidence. They wear dark uniforms marked with symbols that the translation computers cannot interpret. Their leader, a woman with short gray hair and sharp eyes, introduces herself as Captain Ward. Captain Ward's first words to the assembled alien delegation are direct and unsettling. "We know about Kepler 442b, Proxima Centauri c, and Wolf 359. We know about the mining, operations on our worlds, and the people you've been taking. We want them back." The alien leaders exchange worried glances. The human colonies they thought were abandoned ruins are apparently still inhabited. The uninhabited worlds they have been mining and settling for generations belong to a species that never forgot and never forgave the betrayal. Admiral Kors steps forward, his forearms spread in a gesture of peaceful intent. He begins to speak about misunderstandings and the need for diplomatic solutions. Captain Ward cuts him off with a raised hand, her expression hardening. "Diplomacy ended 3,000 years ago when you burned our worlds. We're here for justice, not conversation. You have 72 hours to begin evacuating our territories and returning our people. After that, we solve this problem our way." The reckoning begins. The 72-hour deadline passes with the Galactic Alliance in complete chaos. Emergency sessions run continuously as representatives argue about how to respond to the human ultimatum. Some advocate for immediate evacuation of the disputed territories, while others insist that giving in to threats would destroy the Alliance's credibility across the galaxy. Admiral Kors watches his tactical displays with growing concern. The human fleet has split into smaller groups, each one moving toward different strategic targets. Intelligence reports suggest that humans have been secretly observing Alliance activities for decades, mapping their defenses and studying their capabilities. The supposed myths had been gathering intelligence for a war that was always inevitable. The first strike comes at the mining colony on Kepler 442b. The human attack is swift and precise, targeting only military installations while leaving civilian areas untouched. The colony's defense force, consisting of 24 patrol ships and orbital defense platforms, is destroyed in less than 10 minutes. The human ground forces land without resistance, evacuating the alien settlers efficiently but firmly. Captain Ward broadcasts a message across all Alliance frequencies as the operation concludes. Her voice is calm but carries an undertone of steel that makes seasoned warriors nervous. "This is what mercy looks like. The next colonies will not receive the same consideration if our people are not returned immediately." Dr. Lena studies the footage from the Kepler 442b operation, her scientific mind analyzing every detail. The human tactics are unlike anything in the Alliance military doctrine. They use combined arms coordination that suggests centuries of warfare experience. Their technology seamlessly integrates energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, and electronic warfare in ways that overwhelm traditional defenses. The most disturbing aspect of the human assault is their use of psychological warfare. They broadcast the names and service records of Alliance personnel before attacking, demonstrating intelligence capabilities that penetrate deep into supposedly secure systems. The message is clear. The humans know everything about their enemies while remaining completely mysterious themselves. Elder Mora meets with the Alliance Council as reports flood in from across the galaxy. Human forces are appearing at locations that were thought to be safely hidden deep within Alliance territory. The ancient navigation charts the humans possess show routes through hyperspace that current galactic civilizations never discovered. They are using the galaxy's own hidden pathways against its current inhabitants. The second wave of attacks targets the prison facilities where captured humans have been held. The Alliance had been studying human prisoners for decades, trying to understand their unusual capabilities. The rescue operations are conducted with surgical precision, extracting every human captive while leaving detailed records of their treatment. The evidence of experimentation and abuse is carefully documented for future reference. Commander Vex leads a task force to intercept one of the human rescue operations, hoping to capture some of their technology or personnel. His fleet of 50 ships surrounds the human vessel as it evacuates a research station. The humans respond to his demands for surrender, with weapons fire that cuts through his flagship's shields in seconds. The battle is over before it truly begins. Human weapons technology is centuries ahead of anything the Alliance possesses. Their ships move with impossible agility, while their defensive systems absorb damage that should have been fatal. Commander Vex watches half his fleet destroyed in the opening minutes and orders the remainder to retreat. The retreating Alliance forces carry word of the human military capabilities back to the core worlds. The reports describe weapons that fire coherent energy beams capable of cutting through battleship armor. The human ships seem to ignore the laws of physics, accelerating and maneuvering in ways that should tear them apart. Most frightening of all, they fight with a coordination that suggests shared consciousness or instantaneous communication. Captain Ward's next broadcast includes footage from the Alliance's own security cameras. The images show human prisoners being subjected to medical experiments, psychological torture, and worse. The evidence creates a propaganda victory that turns public opinion against the Alliance leadership. Many alien civilians begin to question whether their governments are the heroes they claim to be. The human strategy becomes clear as the attacks continue. They are not seeking to conquer the galaxy but to reclaim what was stolen and punish those responsible. Each operation demonstrates restraint toward civilians while being utterly ruthless toward military targets. The message is unmistakable: surrender the stolen territories and captives or face escalating consequences. Alliance intelligence finally decrypts some of the human communication protocols, revealing the true scope of their preparation. The humans have been building their forces for 3 millennia, turning their exile into an opportunity to advance their civilization far beyond their former capabilities. The scattered refugees have become a unified military force with technology that makes the Alliance's best weapons look primitive. As Part 3 ends, the Alliance faces a choice between admitting their historical crimes or facing a war they cannot win against an enemy they created through their own betrayal. The truth unveiled, the Galactic Alliance faces its darkest hour as human forces systematically dismantle their outer defenses. Admiral Corse reviews casualty reports with growing despair, watching decades of military buildup crumble against an enemy that seems to anticipate every strategy. The human fleet has grown to over 100 vessels, each one more advanced than anything in the Alliance arsenal. Elder Mora finally receives authorization to access the deepest archives, the ones sealed since the Great Silence. What she discovers in the ancient data crystals shakes her to her core. The humans had not been the aggressors 3,000 years ago. They had been the galaxy's protectors, defending smaller civilizations against threats from dark space and maintaining peace between warring species. The conspiracy that destroyed human civilization had been orchestrated by a secret coalition calling itself the Ascendancy. They had manipulated dozens of alien races into believing that humans were becoming too powerful, too influential in galactic affairs. The fear campaign had been so successful that even the humans' closest allies had turned against them when the final betrayal came. Dr. Lena makes a breakthrough in analyzing the human genetic samples. The DNA shows evidence of deliberate enhancement, genetic modifications that have been carefully refined over thousands of years. The humans have not just survived their exile, they have evolved, becoming faster, stronger, and more intelligent than their ancestors. The galaxy's attempt to destroy them has only made them more formidable. Captain Ward lands on Nexus Prime with a full diplomatic escort, but the meeting is not what the Alliance expected. She brings with her a holographic projection system that fills the council chamber with images from the night of burning stars. The Alliance representatives watch in horror as their predecessors' crimes are displayed in vivid detail. The historical evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. Human colonies being bombed from orbit while broadcasting surrender signals. Refugee ships being hunted down and destroyed as they fled toward the galactic rim. Children being separated from parents as families were torn apart by the systematic campaign of genocide. The humans had trusted their alien allies until the very end, which made the betrayal even more devastating. Captain Ward's voice remains steady as she narrates the genocide, but her eyes burn with an anger that has been building for 3 millennia. We saved the Arcturians from the Void Plague. We stopped the Saurian-Centaurian War before it consumed both species. We gave the Thrivians the technology to terraform their dying worlds, and you repaid us with betrayal and murder. The current Alliance leaders try to distance themselves from their predecessors' actions, claiming that the modern galaxy is different from the one that committed those crimes. Captain Ward's response is swift and brutal. She presents evidence of continued human captivity, ongoing illegal settlements on human worlds, and research programs designed to weaponize human genetic material. Elder Mora stands before the Council and admits what many have suspected but none have dared to say. The Galactic Alliance was built on the foundation of human extinction. The prosperity and peace of the past 3,000 years had been purchased with human blood and built on stolen human territory. The current crisis is not an invasion but a reckoning. The revelation splits the Alliance as some species begin to question their participation in the historical conspiracy. The younger races, those who had joined the Alliance in recent centuries, demand answers from the founding members. Internal conflicts begin to emerge as trust between species deteriorates under the weight of hidden truths. Commander Vex leads a faction that wants to fight the humans regardless of historical crimes. His argument is simple. The past cannot be changed, but the future of galactic civilization hangs in the balance. He advocates for a united front against the human threat, warning that surrender will only encourage other displaced species to seek similar revenge. The human fleet begins to converge on the core worlds, but their approach is methodical rather than reckless. They establish control over strategic hyperspace routes, cutting off reinforcements and supplies to Alliance strongholds. Each victory demonstrates not just superior technology, but superior strategy. As if the humans have been planning this campaign for centuries, Captain Ward delivers her final ultimatum to the Alliance Council. The terms are non-negotiable. Complete evacuation of all human territories within 1 year, reparations for the genocide victims, and the surrender of those responsible for ongoing crimes against humanity. In exchange, the humans will allow the Alliance to continue existing in the portion of the galaxy they did not originally steal. The ultimatum creates panic across the Alliance as billions of settlers realize they may have to abandon homes they have known for generations. The economic impact alone would cripple dozens of civilizations. But the alternative, as demonstrated by the human military campaigns, is total destruction of the Alliance's ability to resist. The new galactic order. The Galactic Alliance fractures as member species choose sides in the growing conflict. The Arcturians, led by Elder Mora, formally withdraw from the Alliance and begin negotiating separate peace terms with the humans. Their decision triggers a cascade of defections as other species abandon the sinking ship of galactic politics. Dr. Lena finds herself in an unexpected position as a mediator between species. Her scientific work on human genetics has given her unique insights into their capabilities and motivations. She argues that the humans are not seeking galactic domination, but justice for historical wrongs. Her research suggests that human civilization has evolved beyond the need for territorial expansion. They want recognition, not conquest. The final battle of the war takes place in the Nexus system, where Admiral Kors makes his last stand with the Alliance's remaining loyalist forces. The human fleet, now numbering over 200 vessels, approaches the heavily fortified system with the systematic precision that has characterized their entire campaign. The battle is broadcast across the galaxy as billions watch the end of era. Captain Ward leads the assault personally, her flagship breaking through the Alliance defensive lines with weapons that seem to bend the laws of physics. The human tactics combine overwhelming firepower with surgical precision, targeting command structures while avoiding unnecessary casualties. Even in the heat of battle, they maintain the moral high ground that has defined their campaign. The space battle lasts only hours, but its impact reverberates across the galaxy. Admiral Kor surrenders when it becomes clear that continued resistance will only result in more deaths. His final transmission acknowledges the justice of the human cause and urges the remaining Alliance forces to lay down their arms. The age of the Galactic Alliance ends not with defiance but with acceptance of defeat. In the aftermath of victory, the humans surprise the galaxy with their restraint. Rather than establishing a new empire, they create a series of autonomous zones where different species can govern themselves. The human territories are restored, but the humans make no attempt to expand beyond their historical borders. Their goal was always justice, not conquest. Elder Mora works with Captain Ward to establish the new galactic order. The humans insist on a truth and reconciliation process that documents the full history of the genocide and its aftermath. The records are made public across the galaxy, ensuring that future generations will know the real story of what happened during the Great Silence. Dr. Lena leads the scientific exchange program that allows alien researchers to study human technological advances. The humans share medical technologies that can cure diseases that have plagued other species for millennia. Their environmental restoration techniques help repair worlds damaged by centuries of exploitation. The knowledge exchange benefits everyone, but the humans maintain strict controls over military applications. The refugee crisis created by human territorial reclamation is handled with surprising compassion. The humans provide temporary shelter and assistance to displaced alien populations, while permanent resettlement is arranged. Many aliens choose to remain in human space, finding that the former myths make fair and just neighbors when treated with respect. Commander Vex becomes an unlikely advocate for cooperation with the humans after witnessing their treatment of prisoners and civilians. His warrior culture comes to respect the human concept of honorable warfare, fighting fiercely, but treating defeated enemies with dignity. The cultural exchange helps bridge the gap between species that have been enemies for millennia. The new galactic government is a loose confederation rather than a centralized authority. Each species maintains sovereignty over their home systems, while participating in common defense and trade agreements. The humans serve as mediators and peacekeepers, using their military superiority to prevent conflicts rather than wage them. Captain Ward addresses the galaxy in her final broadcast. As military commander, she announces the transition to civilian leadership and the establishment of permanent diplomatic relations with all peaceful species. The human military will remain vigilant, but will focus on exploration and defense rather than conquest. The age of human exile is over, but the age of human dominance has not begun. The story concludes with a view of the new galaxy, where humans and aliens work together on projects that benefit all species. The space stations and colonies that were once symbols of human oppression have become centers of learning and cooperation. The myths and legends that portrayed humans as either saviors or destroyers have been replaced by a more complex reality. The final scene shows human and alien children playing together on worlds that were once battlefields. The next generation grows up with a different understanding of galactic history, one based on truth rather than propaganda. The humans have not just reclaimed their place in the galaxy, they have helped create a better galaxy for everyone. The legend of the warrior race that appeared from myth to fill the sky with warships becomes a reminder that justice delayed is not justice denied, and that the truth will always find a way to emerge from the darkness of hidden history.